The Origins Easter egg ending is one of Jason Blundell's greatest trolls. Following the release of this ending, the community freaked out. Nobody understood what was going on. Nobody knew the context of this scene. But a number of people jumped the gun and were pissed off because they thought our beloved zombie storyline was just a children's game this whole time. Nobody knew what it meant for zombies. It felt like a slap in the face to the community, and Jason Blundell is just sitting on the sidelines just saying, just you wait. You don't have the full picture yet. You don't actually understand what you're seeing. But now I think it is safe to say we can actually interpret the Origins ending, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. After, I guess it's been 5 years, we finally can understand and explain the Origins ending. Let's jump into it. In order to understand Origins, what we need to do is go back to Buried, or I guess back to the future, December 31st, 2035. When Victus arrives at an old western town now located beneath the mining facility in Angola. They discover Arthur in a jail cell. He assists them on their journey. The voices of Maxis and Richtofen return. They activate the final polarization device in Maxis' favor. Now corrupted by the Dark Aether, he reveals his true intentions to Victus and punishes Richtofen by trapping his soul in a zombie. Drawn into Agartha by her father, Samantha witnesses the evil that has corrupted him. When a rift opens in Dimension 63, 1918, she reaches out to that Maxis' timeline for help. So Buried has to happen in order for Origins to happen, and Maxis needs to win Buried and I guess Black Ops 2 as a whole. Otherwise, Origins never happens because Samantha sees how her father has been corrupted by the Dark Aether. She does not like it and she wants to set things right, so she begins contacting Maxis in Origins. And this makes sense when you consider Origins radios like this, where Maxis says a mysterious girl who claims to be his daughter is reaching out to him. Because remember, in this timeline, this is only 1918. Maxis is yet to have a daughter.
The child's voice calls to me more frequently than ever. At first, she spoke only of her imprisonment in a mythical realm known as Agartha. Now she claims to be my daughter, even though I know no such child exists. I fear my sanity may be slipping away from me.
Here we are now in Dimension 63. It's the year 1918 in Bar-le-Duc, France. Samantha, in the original universe, the one that we played in World at War and Black Ops 1, is now reaching out to Maxis in Dimension 63, but he's fairly confused and he doesn't understand everything that's going on. But then, on June 4th, 1918, Element 115 awakens the undead knights from the Great War and quickly consumes the camp. Maxis is rendered catatonic by the element. Richtofen removes his brain before he turns. Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takia unite with Richtofen on the battlefield and help Samantha free her from her imprisonment in Agartha. Primus has been reunited, and Samantha sends Primus to their next destination. Maxis' brain arrives in Agartha, and Dr. Monty decides to step in. Monty brings Maxis' brain to the house and wipes the Maxis corrupted by the Dark Aether from existence. So that Dark Maxis that was corrupted in the Buried universe is now gone from existence, and this new Maxis, who is in the Maxis drone, has now arrived at the house. As we learn from the timeline, with Dr. Monty's help, the Maxis drone arrives at the house in Agartha. Despite the absence of his soul, Monty recreates the physical manifestation of his Dimension 63 form. This is everything leading up to the Origins Easter egg. Maxis goes into the rift, our characters are sent to their next destination, and Samantha is freed from her imprisonment in the evil Maxis' Agartha, and the Origins ending cutscene begins to play. Now we need to set the scene. We are in the house. The house is a location in Agartha. As we just learned, Maxis came from Origins, but what about the rest of the characters who are in the house? Well, we learn that from the timeline, the Restoration of the Innocents, Monty returns Samantha to Maxis, and after her innocence was restored. So that's where Samantha comes from. Monty brought Samantha into the house. But what about Richtofen? Well, after Richtofen was in Shadows of Evil and stole the summoning key, he travels to Dimension 2210 to secure an innocent Richtofen. He delivers the soul to the house. From within the summoning key, the Shadow Man states, "I'll be seeing you." So that's where that Richtofen, otherwise known as Eddie, came from. Those are the two children in the house at the time of the Origins Easter egg. Well, what about all of the other stuff in the house? Well, we learned from the timeline the rediscovery of the empty Earth. Having observed Monty for some time, Maxis uses the teleporter in the basement of the house to study and explore other dimensions. Among them is an empty Earth, where an alternate Maxis had constructed Zero Base, a facility that houses artifacts and replicas collected from a multitude of different timelines. However, his attempts to manipulate the empty Earth create a reality too fragile to sustain. So, all of these different artifacts are some of the different artifacts that end up in the house in the Origins ending. Monty is also collecting toys for the children. This is where a number of the different toys that our characters are playing with come from in the story. These are different artifacts collected by Maxis and Richtofen, some potentially from the empty Earth. So that's the scene. This is where the Origins ending takes place. But one thing we need to remember about the Origins ending is what Jason Blundell once told us. Jason Blundell once told us that the order we experience things is not always the order in which they happened. So keep in mind, you might see something, but that might not actually happen in the space and time you think you're in. It might actually be happening later or before, and this is exactly what's going on with the Origins ending. The Origins ending does not actually happen after Origins. The Origins ending takes place after Garad Krovi, and we learn this because we have a cipher that told us. So once we have collected all the souls, we are going to go to the house, and then we have this radio from Revelations.
Where are they? They should have arrived by now.
Oh, Maxis, you worry too much. In fact, aside from worrying, what do you do these days? As far as I can tell, you just repeat whatever I say in radio messages. No offense, of course. It's important to feel relevant. Big fan of what you do.
Look, they're here.
Well, well, well. Sometimes free will does work out. Look at how he's used it. Trying to right wrongs instead of skulking about in the house talking into a microphone.
Put the toys away, children. Make sure the windows are locked before you come down to the basement.
Good call on the windows there, Max. This whole process can get a bit messy.
So that radio was just before the Revelations intro. Dr. Monty and Maxis are waiting for Richtofen and the rest of Primus to arrive with the souls of the innocent. And then you hear an alarm go off, just like in the Origins ending. Now when that alarm goes off, that means somebody is teleporting into the house. Maxis then gets on the speaker and tells Eddie and Samantha to put away the toys, shut the window, and come downstairs. Now, why would they need to shut the window? Because if they don't, then a dark ethereal force might enter the house or something, and as you can see in Kina der Toten, the house will be corrupted by the dark ether. They're trying to keep this world as pure as possible. So now we have the Revelations intro. The characters come in with the souls, and then they are converted into their innocent, childlike form. And this is what is going on in the Origins ending. The Origins ending is not actually after Origins. The Origins ending is just before Revelations, or as Revelations is about to begin. Remember, Jason Blundell said, the order in which we experience things are not always the order in which they happen. And now the Origins ending finally makes sense. And I know it seems ridiculous what was going on in that map, especially when we didn't have all this context, but now that we have the help with the timeline, Revelations, Garad Krovi, Black Ops 3 really as a whole, and all the different radios, we can finally understand what is going on with the Origins ending. And I think it is crystal clear now where it exists in the zombie storyline and what everything is in that timeline. Why the children are playing with toys of our characters, why they need to shut the window, what happens when they go downstairs, where are they, why is there a child form of Samantha and Richtofen, what's up with Maxis. It all makes sense now. And there is one more thing I would like to clarify about the Origins ending, and this is the perspective of the Origins ending. We are watching this from the perspective of Tank Dempsey. You'll notice there are 3 other toys, but there is no Tank toy. We know we're playing with the toy though because we are set down and then we are knocked over by the dog. And it makes sense that this is Tank because 1, Tank is the only toy we don't see, so maybe we're seeing out of his perspective, and 2, he is always the character that breaks the 4th wall. He is the only one that ever talks to you. In many senses, Tank Dempsey is us, and this is why we see out of his perspective in the Origins ending. That's going to wrap things up for this video. I hope this clears up any questions you have about Origins. There still is so much more to discover, but the general context for this ending finally makes sense. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and bye.